My wife told me not to go into the basement while she was gone. So, of course, the first thing I did after she left was unlock the basement door. I wish I had listened to her. The strange part was not that the door was locked. It had always been locked. The strange part was that I had lived in that house for 11 years, paid half the mortgage, fixed the roof twice, replaced the water heater with my own hands. And somehow, I had never been allowed into one room beneath my own home. Whenever I asked about it, Laura always gave the same answer. It's just old family storage, Mark. My dad's things. Nothing important. But that morning, she made a mistake. She forgot the key on the kitchen counter. It was small, brass, and tied to a red string. I saw it while pouring coffee. Laura was upstairs, dragging her suitcase across the bedroom floor. She was leaving for what she called a work retreat in Denver. 3 days, no kids, no calls during meetings, no interruptions. At least, that was what she told me. But 2 nights earlier, I had woken up at 1:17 a.m. and found her standing in the hallway outside the basement door. She was whispering. At first I thought she was on the phone, then I realized she was talking to the door. "Not yet," she said softly. "He doesn't know." I didn't move. I barely breathed. Then she turned around and saw me. For 1 second, her face changed. The woman I had been married to for 16 years vanished, and someone colder looked back at me. Then she smiled. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked. I nodded because I had no idea what else to do. Now, 2 days later, that little brass key sat in front of me like a dare. Laura kissed me goodbye at 8:12. At 8:19, I was standing at the basement door. My hands were steady until the key actually turned. The smell hit me first. Not mold, not damp wood. Cigarette smoke. Laura hated cigarettes. She once made my brother smoke across the street during Thanksgiving dinner. I pulled the chain light. The basement looked ordinary at first. Shelves, boxes, Christmas decorations, an old treadmill we had stopped using in 2018. Then I noticed the rug. It was new. A gray rug covering the far corner of the concrete floor. I pushed it aside with my foot. Underneath was a square metal hatch. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I lifted the hatch. A narrow set of wooden steps led down into darkness. That was when my phone rang. Laura. I almost dropped it. "Hey," I answered, trying to sound normal. There was airport noise behind her. "Did you go into the basement?" My mouth went dry. "What?" "The basement, Mark. Did you go down there?" I looked at the open hatch. "No." A long silence followed. Then she said, "Good. Don't." The call ended. For almost a full minute, I stood frozen beside that hole in the floor. Then I turned on my phone flashlight and went down. The room below was not big, maybe 10 by 12 feet, but it was finished. Clean walls, a desk, a metal filing cabinet, a small refrigerator humming quietly in the corner. And on the desk were photographs, dozens of them, all of me. Me at the grocery store, me walking into work, me sitting in my truck outside the hardware store. Some were recent, some were years old. One showed me standing at my mother's grave. I picked it up with shaking fingers. Someone had taken it from behind a tree. Then I saw the board on the wall. It was covered in names, dates, printed emails, bank statements, and red string connecting them like something from a police investigation. At the center was my name, Mark Ellis. Under it, someone had written, "Does he remember?" I stumbled backward and hit the filing cabinet. One drawer slid open. Inside were folders labeled with dates. I opened the newest one. The first page was a medical report from St. Catherine's Hospital. Patient name, Mark Ellis. Date, April 4th, 2009. Diagnosis, traumatic brain injury with memory loss. I read it 3 times before the room started spinning. I had never been in a serious accident, at least I didn't remember one. Then I found another folder. This one had Laura's handwriting on the tab. Before he woke up. Inside was a photograph of me lying in a hospital bed. My face was bruised. My head was wrapped in bandages. Laura stood beside me. So did another man, a man I recognized immediately. My best friend, Daniel Price. Daniel had died in a car crash 15 years ago. At least, that was what Laura had told me. I heard movement upstairs, a slow creak, then another. Someone was in the house. I turned off my flashlight. The room went black except for the thin line of light from the hatch above. A man's voice called from the basement. "Mark?" My stomach twisted. It was Daniel's voice. I covered my mouth with my hand. He came down slowly, one step at a time. When his shoes reached the floor, he turned on the light. He looked older. I stared at the message until the words blurred. "Do not trust Daniel." Daniel looked at me. "She texted you, didn't she? You're supposed to be dead." He let out a tired laugh. "That's exactly what Laura wanted you to believe." My head was spinning. Daniel opened one of the folders and spread the papers across the desk. Bank records, property deeds, company registrations, every document carried Laura's signature. "You inherited land outside Raleigh," he said. "When developers offered millions for it, Laura secretly sold pieces of it through shell companies. You found out, and someone made sure you wouldn't remember." Before I could answer, we heard the front door open upstairs. Daniel grabbed my arm. "We have to leave." I pulled away. "No. I want to hear the truth from her." Seconds later, Laura appeared at the top of the basement stairs. She wasn't angry. She looked disappointed. "Mark," she said softly, "Daniel has been lying to you for years." Daniel stepped forward. "No, Laura, you're done." She smiled. "Then explain why he was with me the night before your accident." She pulled a photograph from her purse and tossed it onto the table. My stomach dropped. It showed Daniel kissing Laura in a parking lot. The timestamp was 1 week before my crash. I looked at him. His face turned pale. "It happened once," he whispered. "It was the biggest mistake of my life." Laura folded her arms. "He didn't come back to save you. He came back because he was guilty." The room fell silent. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Mr. Ellis," an older woman said, "I'm calling from St. Catherine's Hospital. We found additional records from your accident." "What kind of records? Your emergency contact wasn't your wife." I frowned. "It was your brother." I laughed in disbelief. "I don't have a brother." The woman hesitated. "Yes, you do. Daniel Ellis." I slowly turned toward him. He lowered his eyes. "I didn't tell you because you couldn't remember me. Laura convinced everyone I was unstable before you woke up." Everything suddenly made sense. Daniel wasn't my best friend. He was my brother. Laura had erased him from my life. But Laura wasn't innocent either. She had stolen my inheritance. Daniel had betrayed me years earlier. Both of them had destroyed my trust. The only difference was that one betrayed me for greed. The other spent 15 years trying to make it right. I called the sheriff. Neither of them ran. The investigation uncovered years of fraud, forged documents, and hidden bank accounts. Laura lost everything she had built through lies. Daniel never asked me for forgiveness. He knew he didn't deserve it. A year later, I stood alone on the dock behind my mother's lake house after it was finally returned to me. As the sun disappeared behind the water, I realized something I should have known all along. Money can be replaced, property can be recovered, but once trust is broken, no amount of truth can ever put it back together.